Hello everybody and welcome back to World of Warships Legends. My name is Spartan Elite 43 and as you may have already told by the title, we are in the Tier 5 Nürnberg. This is the German cruiser and this is the one that everybody's been complaining about. But I think I may be able to shed some light on everybody's complaints. So, what is everybody complaining about with this ship? Well, the main complaint is that the rear guns are glitched out, supposedly. Well, they're not, really. And I'll show you in a moment why they're not. But we're on Estuary, which, as you guys know, is one of my favorite maps. Now, normally speaking, I try to be patient on this map. But I quickly realized that the enemy is not doing anything on this side of the map. So I use my speed to get behind the enemy and into their base to force them to turn around to come back to us, and I lure them into a trap. So I hope you guys are ready. Some interesting, if not butt-clenching gameplay is coming up. But yeah, so as you can see, when you expose your full broadside, you can get all three guns on target. But you have to be at least broadside enough to be looking at somewhere in the neighborhood of an 80 to 75 degree angle off the front of your ship, which is a lot more than most ships. But as you can see, the rear guns can't go that far forward. And that was a terrible shot into the island, but you can see that the rear guns can't go that far forward when you're looking through them. So even though it says that the rings show that you could get all the guns on the target, it's just not possible because the rear guns are blocked. They're blocked by the ship. So, unless you want to blow yourself out of the water, probably better to just let the guns not fire. Now, yes, the guns still go 360 degrees. And by that, you're thinking, well, if they can rotate 360 degrees, why can't they look further than, 80 degrees off the front of the ship? Well, because when they rotate 360 degrees, they lift their guns all the way up to go over top of the thing that's in front of them. So, if you're trying to shoot forward, your guns would never be able to reach the target. So, that's why you can't fire your guns over the front of your ship like a lot of other ships can. It's just the way this ship is built. It's unfortunate, it is annoying, but it is a thing. It's not a glitch, or at least doesn't appear to be a glitch to me, because the guns clearly cannot rotate forward far enough to fire, even though the reticle says that you can get the guns there. They're not actually there. And I think that's probably like an issue with the fact that they can rotate 360 degrees, so the game's trying to figure out why the game is trying to show you that they can fire there when in fact they cannot. They're blocked by the ship. But we're trying to get rid of this farragut. We set him on fire again, and we are just raining hell upon him. But he's still alive! I don't know where everybody else's shots are going, but they're missing. I mean, I'm missing too, but I'm 13.5 kilometers away shooting at a, very mobile target. Those guys are much closer than I am. And we get him anyway because he burns to death. So that's a good thing. Farragut down. And that's going to be important, because the more destroyers we get rid of now, the less destroyers we have to worry about when we flank the enemy. Now, there's a couple things I need to talk about when I tell you about this. This is not going to work all of the time. The only reason this works at all here in this position is because all of the enemy went to the other side, except the farragut. And because they all went out there, I'm going to get to their base right about the time that they commit fully and turn towards our base, because we were unopposed. The other reason that this works is because I have help. It's unusual, I know, but there are two ships on my team that are following me this direction. One is a cruiser, one is a battleship, and they are both heading my way to help me with this situation. Now, as you can see, I'm watching these guys in the distance, and I'm like, you know what? If I start firing now, they're just going to all turn around, they're going to murder my face, and I don't want that. So I'm angled towards the back of their cap to give me a few extra seconds for these guys to make up their mind on what they want to do before I start triggering the cap alarm. Because as soon as I start triggering the cap alarm, they're going to try to come back to base. But the plan is that they come back to base through that narrow channel. Remember what we were talking about just, I don't know, a couple videos ago? Anytime you can get somebody into a very narrow corridor, as the Spartans used against the Persians, it's very difficult for them to make any progress because they're not able to maneuver properly and they are just sitting ducks, especially when you've got torpedoes. And while we don't have a whole lot of damage, we only got 4,000 damage right now, we are capturing their base, but right after they all committed and went towards the front of that island. Now, there is one guy that's going to come back through this side. And that is the one battleship that I didn't see. But everybody else is going to force themselves through this little narrow gap, and it's going to be magnificent. So I hope you guys are ready, because the fun is about to begin. Now you can see the cruiser to my left that has joined me in the base is starting to launch torpedoes. And that's exactly what we want. We want to lure these guys back through that narrow corridor so that our torpedoes can just be fired at will and then they have no real chance to get out of it. Now there's a Congo over here, and this Congo has very little health, so I have no choice but to try to get rid of him, because if not, he's going to ruin my day. I have a plan, and he's in the way of me completing that plan. Because if he starts shooting me from this side, I'm going to be in real trouble. Speaking of which, his shots are in my general direction, and wait for it. Yep, that didn't exactly tickle. He didn't citadel me, thank God. But it didn't tickle. Now you can see I am still shooting high explosive in his general direction because I want to set a fire, I want to turn him into ashes, and I want him off this map. With that being said, he puts out the fire, and he turns to turn away. Now, in my mind, I've got bigger fish to fry. There are a lot of people here in this gap that are about to come sailing through, and they need to die. Now, I'm getting the armor-piercing loaded. We've got a Nurnberg broadside on in front of us, and this is going to be a paddling, folks. When you're broadside on and he gets me back, that's just, you know, the way this goes. We're both broadside. It's who citadels who faster. And he gets help. And the Mayhan launches a bunch of torpedoes. He launches a bunch of torpedoes. I've got to try to avoid. Come on, Spartan. Don't fail me now. Okay, we're good. But that's the difference between me being able to torp people and them being able to torp people. They're firing into open ocean. We have room to maneuver. And we are firing into a very narrow corridor where they don't have room to maneuver. I've already got 3 torpedo hits. We're up to 47,000 damage already. And are we going to get rid of the Mayhan? Yes, we are. So that's our second kill of the game. Now this New Mexico seems like he's in a good position to catch a couple fish. Wait for it. And... oh, the Congo's back. We got to shoot at the Congo. Come on, Spartan. We got to get rid of him. And we set him on fire twice. That's going to be huge. We got to get rid of him. And we get a little bit of help from the New Mexico, finishing off the Congo. And that leaves this guy in the center with the Nürnberg. Now, we didn't actually end up torping that battleship. But we also didn't really need to, apparently. Because somebody finished him off. And if I had to guess, I'd say it's the battleship at the front. And this Nürnberg is in a bad situation. He's stuck between me and a battleship, and the battleship is very, very close and fully capable of ruining his day. But then you got me as well, and he's turning broadside onto me, which means my 150mm guns can do this. Easy penetration. Anytime you're broadside on in a cruiser, you're probably going to get penetrated by other cruisers. And anytime you're stern or bow tanking a cruiser versus battleships, you're probably going to get citadeled by the battleships. Otherwise, you might get lucky and get over penetrations if you're broadside onto them. And I say might because it isn't a guarantee. I don't recommend showing your broadside to anybody, but you don't really have much of a choice in this situation because unlike a lot of ships that make this sort of weapons you know, the way they are, you get more guns in the rear of your ship than you get in the nose. So we get good shots off on the Königsberg here. We get 2 citadels on the first volley, and we get another citadel and the kill on the second volley, getting those nice penetrations on that broadside cruiser that we were talking about. But that is the end of this nice little battle, and we ended up pulling something out. Considering we only had 4,000 damage, we ended up grabbing 78,000 damage with 4 kills, almost getting a Kraken with only 3 torpedo hits, guys. So if you like what I'm doing, punch the like button, leave a comment below, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and as always, I will see you in the next video.